do actually have it going on. That's good. Yeah, hey everybody, it is me, Lemony Whispers, and we will be, as the little thing says, starting soon. I just need to do a little bit of housekeeping first before we get going. So yeah, if you enjoy sort of white noise and keyboard clickety clackety clickety clackety sounds, then yeah, you get a little bonus before we get into it. If you are watching after the live stream, what I will do is I will put a timestamp in the description box below. So if you do want to jump to the meat of the ramble, as it were, you have that there to jump straight into. So yeah, so it's, you know, everyone wins. You either get some clickety clackety sounds, which you may enjoy with some white noise and general room ambience at a very sort of super chill atmosphere. I don't know, words just failed me then. Or you can jump straight to the ramble words that we're going to be doing. So your choice. If you are new to the channel, then first and foremost, welcome. And if you are new to the end of the month rambles that we've been doing this year, it's very straightforward. It's just me, as I said, with a very super chill atmosphere, talking about movies, films, moving pictures, talkies, however you want to refer to them as, TV shows, music, books. Although there's going to be none of that this week. I have fallen so far behind with my idea of reading a book a month, and June has not helped with that. Although I did finish what I was reading, so that is a plus. And just generally stuff that I've enjoyed the last month. So yeah, that's basically, in a really simple nutshell, what the rambles are about. And as always, I encourage you guys to share with me what you've been enjoying. So if you've seen a movie that you've really liked for the first time, maybe, or maybe like me, and which we'll get into in a little bit, you've been re-watching some stuff and you've rediscovered how much you like something, I want to know what that is. If you've been listening to a record on heavy rotation this month, what record is it? Also, what are some of your favourite records of this very confusing and horrible year so far? What music has been getting you through the hellscape that has been 2020? Or if you've been reading a book that you just cannot put down, what is it? Why can you not put it down? Whatever it is, whatever you've been enjoying this month or this year, I want to know down in the comments, either in the live stream if you're watching, or just in the comments if you're watching at your own leisure. But in the meantime, I'm going to get on with the little bit of housekeeping I need to do, and then we'll get going. We'll get to rambling. There isn't anybody in the live stream at the minute, but it's always nice to just have a little message at the top for anyone that wants to drop by. Yeah, I did. You may have seen, I don't know, this is like my second attempt at doing this. I did try a little bit earlier, but there was a little bit too much noise seeping through, and it wasn't particularly relaxing, and it was a little bit distracting, so I decided to just cut my losses and hold out for a little bit. Yeah. By the way, if you're wondering what this is, me too. I haven't any idea what the spa is in general. I know what a spa is, but I don't know what the spa is. And Canyon Oaks, I don't even know where Canyon Oaks is. I'm totally posing right now with this. I guess. I just pulled it out of the cupboard and picked it because it's fake. It's a fake mug. You get a lot of coffee in it, so that's pretty much why I have this. But if you have been to the spa at Canyon Oaks, I don't know why I'm actually looking at the microphone. There's the camera. Then let me know. Yeah, my brain is just getting all kinds of distracted. I need a better setup for these live streams. I do realise that. I need a better camera than the inbuilt one I'm using. A little bit of a peek behind the curtain. Most of my videos are actually filmed on my phone, so and because I don't have the account privileges, I guess you would call them, to actually stream live from my phone yet, I have to do it via my laptop. So that's why the actual video quality on the streams is never that good. But at some point, hopefully in the future, I'd like to get an actual camera to use. But yeah, times are a little tight for that at the minute, and that's maybe something for the future. So, but yeah, we're gonna get started in a minute. But as I said, if you've been enjoying something particularly, either this month or this year, I would love to know what it is. I'm always on the lookout for new stuff. I love when people recommend things they've been watching or listening to, especially when they've really liked it, and you can tell. Always love hearing people's recommendations and suggestions. So yeah, please let me know in the comments what you've been digging, either this month or this year. And it doesn't have to be from this year. That's the thing. I think with everybody being at home a lot more, I've noticed people have either gone back to things from their childhood or stuff they haven't seen for a while, which is going to be a little bit of a theme in this one, or stuff they've just never seen, period, but from years ago, decades ago. A lot of people checking out classic films, as they were, classic films that they feel like they should have seen, and in some cases, yeah, they should have seen. There are some films everyone should see, and they've been using the time to do that, which is good. I mean, as long as people are using the time to do things that make them happy, then that's good. That's all that matters. You could be a huge Taylor Swift fan, and you could be just watching live video performances, concert performances, and if that makes you happy, then fair play to you. Not for me, but if that's what's making you happy, all power to you. All power to you, lad. Alright, I think that I am just about ready to go. So, begin voice off. And there we go, officially starting with the end of the month ramble for June. End of the month ramble for June. End of the month ramble for June. I've noticed a lot of people do this now. A lot of people tend to repeat words and phrases, and at first it really didn't do anything for me. But I actually quite enjoy it now. There's something about it, I don't know, especially when people differentiate the delivery a little bit. It's like the phonetic change is quite tingly, as it were. So yeah, this is, if you've never been in one of these before, it is just extremely laid back. As you can tell, I have not dressed up for the occasion. I am wearing my college dropout t-shirt, because, you know, old Kanye, new Kanye, but old Kanye, still, you know, for the most part. It's funny, because, and a little sort of side story tangent, before we get into this, I guess. It wouldn't be a ramble if I didn't veer off course at least once, right? I was wearing this when I went to probably the coffee shop that used to be down the road from us. This was shortly after I first moved here, and a woman who, you know, didn't have any frame of reference. You know, unless you know the album, you probably won't recognise what it is or who it's for. And she didn't. She was a lady of elder stature, shall we say, to be polite, and she was a little taken aback by the fact that I would be wearing a t-shirt that says "The College Dropout" written on it. And she actually asked me, did I not graduate? Not in a mean way. I think she was very confused as to why somebody would be touting the fact that they didn't finish college, that they voluntarily left. Voluntarily? Yeah, it would help if I actually said word right. Yeah, so she just presumably had thought I'd quit, and was quite proud of that fact, and had a t-shirt made. And then I just told her very briefly, it's an album, and that didn't seem to clear up any of the confusion. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It was kind of one of those. Yeah, it had to be there. I just realised how much of a douche I sound saying that. Anyway, it was one of those kind of, you had to be there moments. By the way, the spa at Canyon Oaks, if you want to sponsor this channel, then get in touch. I will need to do some research to see if you're a good company or not first, but I'm just putting it out there. Maybe you could help me get a new camera. New tech equipment supplied by the spa at Canyon Oaks. Alright, that's enough advertising for them. I don't even know who they are. Alright, let's get into it. June 2020. June 2020. 2020. Sounds quite nice phonetically. It's still not nice in actuality. Okay, so let's start with some music. Been a month where I am gradually catching up with some new stuff. There's still a lot of records from this year that I haven't got around to listening to. But there's some that have just become immediate must-listens, stuff that I've been waiting for a long time, and that includes the two albums that I'm going to feature here, starting with this. Let's get out of the way a little bit. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let's move you over there. How about that? RTJ4 by Run the Jewels. I actually feel like that's probably a good thumbnail. maybe not actually advertising the Spirit Canyon Oaks. Maybe if I got an RTJ mug, Kill Your Masters mug or something. I think it's been publicised before. I think I've talked about it before on the channel in some video or another. I absolutely adore Run the Jewels. Not only do they make absolute beast music, it just like straight fire for the last 7 years. But just the personality behind both of them, individually and as a unit, the lyricism, the intelligence, the wit, the vulgarity, the over-the-top cartoonish sense of humour. All of it is just the complete package, and I've been waiting like so many people for RTJ4 to drop, and this last month it came out, and it did not disappoint. This is possibly, it's between this and 2 for my favourite Run the Jewels albums. 2 will always have a big place in my heart because it gave me a sense of fire, it gave me a sense of confidence. I don't think another record ever has. Came to me at the right time in my life, and it helped unlock motivation like I don't think a record ever has, and I don't think like a musical act ever has. You know, I have a number of musicians and bands and artists who are very dear to me that I love very, very much, but I don't think a musical act has really kicked me up the arse to get stuff done and make changes like these guys. I don't even know where I'm pointing at. But I love the record from top to bottom. It's about 40 minutes long and it's the perfect length. It's just full of just incredible production, great beats, great lyricism, like really on-the-nose lyricism about a lot of stuff that's been happening for a long time and that is under the microscope very much now. It feels extremely contemporary, but the sad thing is it's dealing with issues that have been long-term problems, but it's just full of, and that's the other thing, it's full of personality, it's full of personal writing, it's full of soul, it's full of, that was my elbow by the way, just full of honesty, and yeah, it does not disappoint. As I say, could be my favourite Run the Jewels album to date, is very much a front runner for my favourite album of the year, but it does have some pretty stiff competition from the likes of Laura Marlin and this woman, who I'm also going to move over there. No, that's something else. There you go, Phoebe. I'm going to shift you over to the other side. See if I'd actually done some preparation for this. Then, yeah, maybe it wouldn't be so all over the place. But hey, when has this ever been a slick professional operation? So this is Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers. It is her sophomore album, and it's another album that I've been waiting for a very, very long time. And it's an album that did not disappoint one bit. I absolutely adored her debut album, Stranger in the Alps. I played that thing to death, I still do, and this record kind of builds upon the foundations of that record. It's got some of the same sort of indie singer-songwriter, although I really don't like that term, / folksy-esque elements, but it's built upon. There's more electronics in here, there's more layering, there's more spacing, there's more of a textured feel to a lot of the production and the compositions. Yeah, it's like a significant evolution, but it doesn't feel like it's stretched or strayed too far from what made the first album great. Songwriting is fantastic. Phoebe has a knack for somehow just sneaking into my head, taking my innermost thoughts, and putting them in songs. So, I don't know how she does it. I don't know how I feel about that, about her sneaking into the back of my head at some point without me knowing and taking those thoughts and putting them into songs, but yeah, I guess I'll just have to learn to live with it because she's making great music by doing so. Yeah, this is in high contention for my album of the year. Just again, it's not, oh, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's about 40-ish minutes, I think, and it just runs together so nicely. Each track plays into the next one so effortlessly, and it's just fantastic. And is it better than the debut album? I don't know, and time will tell. Too early to say. Is it an amazing record, both as a follow-up and on its own? Yes. Why am I asking questions and then answering them? I don't know, but I'm going to move on. So that's it, really, for music. I have been listening back to the new Thundercat album again a little bit of the Pure X album that came out earlier this year. I did give the new Charlie XCX album a once through, and what else? The Shy FX Ragamuffin Reloaded, which is a remix of his Ragamuffin sound tape album from last year or the year before. It's a series of remixes, each one absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I've listened to that once, but very impressed with that so far. But my main two records, as I say, Run the Jewels and Phoebe Bridgers. Both I cannot recommend enough. On the topic of music, whilst we're still talking about it, I am thinking of doing a series of videos called Silent Disco. And the idea behind this, pretty simple, but I like it. And this is what I think I'm going to start with. So I put together a playlist. It's about an hour. I think there's about 18 to 20 songs in there of favourite songs from this year so far. And the idea is that I'm going to put a link in a video that I'm going to make. So I'm going to sit and I'm going to stream the playlist with headphones on. So you won't be able to hear it. You might be able to hear it slightly muffled, but you won't actually be able to hear the music unless you go and listen to it at the same time. And the idea is I'm going to count anybody who wants to do this, who wants to listen along with me as like a little listening party, or as the title suggests, a silent disco. Silent disco. So I'll count us in. We'll start the playlist at the same time, and we'll listen to it together. And we can leave comments. If I do it as a live stream, we can leave comments there. If not, you leave comments regardless, I guess. So there's that option. You can listen to the music with me if you want. And we can have, like, as I say, a listening party or a silent disco. If you don't want to do that, then you will have about an hour of white noise, keyboard clicking, general small, low-key, lo-fi ASMR noises, maybe some beard scratching, if people like that from the last video. There may be some of that in there. The muffled sound of music. So it's just kind of like a sense of ambience without the music. Just, it's there if you want to do it that way as well. It's an idea, something I'm gonna experiment with. But as I say, I think I'm gonna do that maybe next week with this playlist I put together for some of my favourite songs of the year so far. So yeah, that might be something that becomes a regular thing. Depends on how it goes. But yeah, you've got the option. You can either listen with me or have a little bit of a silent disco, or you can just listen to all the white noise and ambience and small lo-fi sounds. Anyway, let's move on. If that sounds good, by the way, let me know if you've got recommendations for albums. We could do album listen throughs. There's a record that's come out that you want to listen to. Suggest it. Let me know what it is down in the comments below. Alright, so let's move on to films. Now for me, I'm going to have to move this across because everything is over on this side. So here you go. If I can just grab Emily there, and we'll move her over there. Recently, I have just been in a headspace where I I've watched quite a few movies this month actually. I've kind of made up for not watching them recently this year. This month I've watched a whole bunch, but it's mainly been stuff that I know quite well, that I'm familiar with, or that I've seen before. Repeat viewings. Yeah, I haven't really watched anything new this month. I've watched a bunch of older stuff and things that I've seen before, including Emily, wherever she is. There she is. I haven't seen Emily for, I want to say it's about 10 years. But I don't know, I wanted to watch it. I saw it as one of the tiles when browsing, looking for something. I was like, yeah, okay, let's give that a go again. It's been a while, don't really remember that much about it. And I'm really pleased I did. Very charming, very sweet, very colourful, very visually expressive. Which is, maybe a strange thing to say for a film, but you know what I mean. It kind of utilises and maximises the fact it's a visual medium. A lot of interesting, inventive ideas, visually speaking, and just sweet, very sweet-natured and nice and just enjoyable and funny as well. The whole sort of subplot with Emily's father and her gnomes, or his gnome, singular, and its international travels is pretty great. So yeah, I've been checking out Emily. I know a lot of people love that movie. It's kind of got somewhat of a quasi-cult status. So yeah, if you like Emily, if it's a favourite, let me know why. Alright, speaking of older movies, let's move this lot. See, this would be fine if the microphone was actually right in front of me, but it's not, it's over here. So yeah, I've also watched the original Night of the Living Dead in the last couple of weeks. Again, just saw it as I was scrolling through in the horror section. I was like, yeah, it's been quite some time. I think it has actually been over 10 years since I've seen that. You can tell that it was very much a pioneer for indie film, because there's some very shonky bits in it. Even now, some of the sound work is dreadful. But who am I to say anything about Night of the Living Dead? I didn't make the first zombie film. I didn't kickstart a whole genre of movies, did I? No, I did not. But despite some of the technical issues in it, it still holds up really well. It's enjoyable. It sets the scene for an entire genre, and yeah, it's considered a classic for a lot of reasons. Obviously makeup and effects have gotten better, but yeah, it's still pretty tense. It still has its moments, and in terms of cultivating an atmosphere, it does just a cracking job. So yeah, Night of the Living Dead. If you've never seen it, go check it out. But the original version, don't check out the remake from the early 90s. It's just, if I remember rightly, it was just pretty dire. It's really flat, unimaginative, just straight up copy. Alright, kind of shifting gears a little bit. If I can actually grab hold of them. Let's move our emotions over to the side. Just something I've been saying for years. Just this last week, I rewatched Inside Out for the first time in, I want to say 5 years since it came out, which would be about 2015. It is still, it's not my favourite Pixar movie, but I would say it's probably the best Pixar movie, just in terms of from start to finish, in terms of like really getting the most out of quite a highfalutin concept. It's really imaginative, it's really smart, it's really funny, it's really sincere, and in 90 minutes, it really says so much about the idea of experiencing change and the emotional adjustment to change, especially at a young age. It's consistently funny, for both kids and adults alike. It's just an absolute joy to watch, no pun intended. I absolutely love to watch it, and it's still just as heartbreaking. That's the thing. Especially when Riley kind of accepts and allows her emotions to be And she cried, oh man. And Bing Bong. Ugh, brutal. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a really noisy plane going overhead, so we're just going to let that pass a second. In the meantime, I'm going to take those guys off. Hopefully that isn't bleeding in too much. And we're going to queue up our next film. And we're going to move it over here. If you haven't seen Inside Out, do change that. It's wonderful. If you've got kids and you think they're of a suitable age to see it, show them it. It's an amazing film in terms of communicating a very complicated, sort of abstract idea that has real, sort of practical implications in life. Just life itself, waking life. But it manages to sort of project those ideas and illustrate them, again, no pun intended there, in a really easily digestible fashion. And again, it's just really funny throughout, and sweet and poignant and sad. It covers all emotional bases, which I guess is the whole point. Anyway, the next film I want to talk to you about is a film called Columbus, which stars John Cho, who I am a very big fan of. And I cannot remember this young lady's name, but I am going to find out for you right now. I should have remembered it because I was very impressed. Haley Lou Richardson. That's who it is. So I have seen this movie once before, shortly after it came out, I think 2018. And at the time, I liked it, but it really didn't do much for me. It was perfectly fine. I liked the soundtrack. I liked the general central pairing between Haley Lou Richardson and John Cho. I liked the pacing of it, but it didn't really spark anything special in me. It was just like, yeah, it's okay. But I was listening to some music by the band that does the soundtrack for this film. It's a band called Hammock. So if you're unfamiliar with the film or that band, but you like post-rock music, stuff like Explosions in the Sky, which, for those of you who might not know the name, are the band that did all the soundtrack music for the Friday Night Lights TV show. If you like that kind of music, check out Hammock. And this film, I guess. But yeah, I was listening to some Hammock, and it made me think about this film. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought about giving it a second chance and going back to it. Because sometimes, for me, films work that way. There are films that I've seen in the past where, on first viewing, I'm just like, I'm not getting this, or I'm not getting it the way other people are, or in this case, it's okay, but nothing much else than that. Drive, the Nicholas Winding Refn film with Ryan Gosling, is a perfect example. Everybody loved Drive. Everyone was raving about Drive. And I watched it, and I was just like, yeah, it's okay. And then a number of months later I watched it again, and just something changed. I don't know, maybe just because I'd separated it from the hype, which sometimes is the case. I watched it again and enjoyed it a lot more, and that's the case here with Columbus. I watched it a couple of weeks ago after thinking about it, after listening to Hammock, and found that it was a lot more genuine and sincere and sweet and real. Because this is the thing, the core relationship between Haley Lou Richardson's character and John Cho's character. There is that sort of air of will they, won't they romance to it, but it's not the central focus. The central focus is more on two people that feel a little bit lost, who are trying to navigate where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing, and how they're supposed to be feeling. A little bit like Lost in Translation, and I kind of got more of a Lost in Translation vibe from it second time round. But the characters just feel very real, very fully dimensional, like actual people, and not just sort of whimsical cardboard cutouts reciting nice dialogue. So yeah, yeah, I'd highly recommend it. It's not going to be to everyone's speed. It is a little bit of a slow burn, and it is more character and relationship dynamic based. But if you like those kind of films and you've not seen it, then I think you might enjoy Columbus quite a bit. Alright, so there we go. And our last film that we're going to be talking about that I rewatched for I think maybe the 5th time because it's brilliant and it's just flipping ace, is Jaws. It's summer, right? You've got to watch Jaws. It's kind of ironic because there's been points this year where the whole world feels like the beach in Jaws, and it should be closed for the safety of everyone. But then there's a whole bunch of people saying we can't close the beach. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit too real in terms of as real as a metaphor can be, I guess. But still, it's a bloody classic. I love Jaws, and I don't know what it is about it. I love the pacing of it. I love the tension, even though you know what's going to happen, especially if you've seen it 4 or 5 times. You know what's going to happen, but still, it just works. It's just like a magic trick that even if you know how it works, even though you know how the magic trick works, when you see it, you're just like, yeah, that's cool. I like it as well because I feel like it is a pretty multi-layered. Well, first and foremost, it's a great sort of blockbuster type film that isn't way over the top, that isn't ridiculous. The acting's great, the dialogue's great, and I do genuinely think there's like multiple layers to it. You know, you can look at it simply as the shark film, but you can also look at it as an allegory for other stuff. For me, personally, my interpretation of Jaws is it's a film about man's fear of change, and when I say man, I mean as in male. The male species' fear of change, and adjusting to change, adapting. You know, you look at it as Brody adapting to life in a new place, in a new setting, with a new mindset that he is sort of surrounded by. And you can also look at it as the reluctancy to change when something like a shark attack happens and the mayor just won't show at the beach. And then you can also go into Quint and other aspects, but for me, it works as a great shark movie, probably the best if we're going to be honest. Not that there's that many great shark movies, but just a great movie as well. Like, as I say, it just works. It just works, and it's Jaws. What else can I say? It's just Jaws. Great. A couple of years ago, before I moved, I actually had the pleasure of watching Jaws screened outside on a beach at night, and it was amazing because you had the sea lapping behind you, and you had Jaws in front of you. You had like a cooler full of beer. Honestly, one of my most favourite nights of all time. Fond memories, and maybe that's why that's an extra reason to love Jaws, because I've got that memory attached to it. And that's the thing. That's an interesting topic, actually, which maybe we'll cover in a separate video. Movies that you love primarily because of the memories attached to them. And they can be good movies, they can be terrible movies. In fact, I have a number of terrible movies which I like because I have good memories attached to them because of who I was with, what was happening at the time. I like that. Maybe that's an idea for a video at some point. Alright, so that's it for movies, and then we've got one more thing, because as I said, I finished my Kim Gordon book, which I talked about in the last ramble. Finally finished that. Great, highly recommend that as well. So, no books to talk about this month. Hopefully maybe in the next one I will, but at the minute, no. But I do have something to talk about from TV, and that is this. Adventure Time. Adventure Time. Adventure Time. With Jay the dog and Finn the human. I was aware of this show. Have been for years. It's kind of been in the background for a number of years. But it wasn't until watching Midnight Gospel and really enjoying that show and the animation and seeing the association that Pendleton Ward had with that show that I wanted to go and finally check out Adventure Time, and I'm so pleased I did. I just love this show. Episodes are about 12 minutes apiece, so it's not like you have to commit yourself to any stretch of time. You can go into a time sink and watch a whole bunch, or you can watch one, and that's the beauty of it. And each story is compact, concise, and just great. Some of them are fantastic, sort of little fables and allegories and metaphors. Some of them are just really goofy, stupid, random, nonsensical, animated brilliance. I love this show. I love the camaraderie between Jake and Finn. I love a whole bunch of the side characters. Marceline and Vampire Queen is awesome. And yeah, it's just fun. It's fun. It's funny. It's kind of poignant at times, and other times it's just goofy. And sometimes that's all you need, right? Sometimes you need something you can relate to. Sometimes you just need something that makes you laugh and go, what the hell? And that show does it all. So yeah, Adventure Time is the big TV thing that I've been watching this month. I did finish, I know this much is true, the Mark Ruffalo show where he plays two brothers. That was fantastic. I really, really liked that, and it's made me want to read the book that Wally Lamb wrote, which the show is based off, so I've added that to my ever-growing list of books that one day I will maybe get around to reading at some point. So yeah, so that's it, really. A lot of recommendations in there, a lot of great stuff that I've enjoyed. Maybe you've enjoyed some of them too. If not, then let me know what you have been enjoying, whether that's movies, TV, music, or if you have been ploughing through a book yourself, if you've managed to actually keep up with your reading, where I haven't. I hope that's the case. Then let me know what you've been reading. Just in general, let me know what you've been enjoying, both for June and for the year as a whole, because we're at the halfway point now. It doesn't seem like it, but we are. Yeah, let me know what you've got going on as well, what you are maybe looking forward to in terms of all of the above, and what you're looking forward to getting stuck into. Other than that, I have managed to make this coffee last for almost an hour, and now it's stone cold, but not Steve Austin, thankfully, because that could be disastrous. That could end up in a world of hurt. It's gone off on a really random tangent now. Anyway, that's going to be it for this ramble. I hope you've enjoyed it. I don't know what else I've got coming up off the top of my head, but there's going to be some stuff coming out. Silent Disco, we're going to try. If that sounds like a good idea and you guys are interested, then let me know in the comments. And again, if you've got albums that you want to recommend that we try for editions of that, in my head, and I'm being a little bit ambitious here, I'm not making a promise, but if Silent Disco is a thing that people like and it works, whether it's something they enjoy listening to with me or they just like, as I say, the ambience and the sounds, then maybe we will aim to do that on Sundays. Maybe every other Sunday to start with, and then maybe every Sunday, maybe, depending on how it works, if people enjoy it or not. I have another Dream Machine gameplay video coming out pretty soon. Looking forward to getting back into that. If you haven't seen that, check it out. It's a really fun and funky looking game with some weirdness to it for sure. It's like a stop motion game, if you haven't seen it yet, made entirely out of cardboard and clay. So yeah, so good stuff coming up, and what have you. And there's someone's car alarm. I hope that isn't bleeding through. Anyway, even if it isn't, this is a good time to say goodbye. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining in with the ramble, whether it was the live stream or afterwards. It's always appreciated. I hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy, looking after yourselves, your loved ones, and those around you. and what have you. And until next time, I'll see you. Not at the Spirit Canyon Oaks, but on here. Yeah.